Hey everybody, Josh Lupresto here, VP of Sales Engineering, back for another video with Engineering Deep Dive and Season 2 of the race. And today I'm here with my good friend Geoff Reimer, Director of Sales Engineering for Dialpad. Geoff, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let's get in. Let's break down Dialpad a little bit here. So for anybody that's not familiar, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself and then a little bit of history on Dialpad?
Great. Yeah, no problem. So I've been in this industry for about 25 years. I've been through a lot of the large manufacturers at Nortel and Avaya, Polycom, and Fuse. So pretty much encompassing the entire unified communication space. I've been at Dialpad now for 4.5 years running our sales engineering team. So what Dialpad is, we're a unified collaboration platform. We have been doing this, so we've been around since 2011. An interesting history and background to how Dialpad started. Our founder and CEO took over a company called Dialpad originally back in the late 90s in the big .com era there, and ended up selling that. And it was just basically a company that you could make long distance phone calls over the internet. Sold that company to Yahoo. It became Yahoo Voice, if anybody remembers that. It was a short-lived experiment, but upon selling that company to Yahoo, Craig left with one of the people from that he had at Dialpad, Vincent Paquet, who's our product manager, our chief product officer. They started a company called Grand Central. A lot of people know Grand Central. One number for life type of thing, and integrating all these different devices. They were quickly snapped up by Google, and they spent 4 years at Google building Google Voice into hundreds of millions of users across the industry. From there, they met Brian Peterson and John Rector, two of the three founders of Dialpad, who all left and started what is now Dialpad. Now, one of the interesting things about that is our first product we launched was Uber Conference in 2012. For those Silicon Valley fans, we did win TechCrunch Disrupt in New York City in 2012 with the Uber Conference product, which is our unified collaboration product today.
I love it. And I think, I remember using Google Voice back in the day, and what I felt like user interface wise it was compared to some of the other things was that it was a very sleek, everything's used to traditional way, radio buttons and check boxes and then save. I looked at that Google Voice interface, and it was one of those first that just kind of embodied the whole slider button, save is done. And so I saw some of that kind of fresh interface put into the Dialpad. I remember seeing that for the first time. It was very apparent how it was technologically so much different. So I love that fresh look on it from a UI perspective too.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, really what are all our founders, they don't really come from the enterprise space. They've been primarily consumer space. So what I look at, when they left Google, and Google was one of our first series of funding was from Google Ventures. But what they wanted Dialpad to do was go out and build a Google Voice for the enterprise. So but coming from a user experience, I liken Dialpad and even Google before that to a enterprise feature set, but with a flavor of the consumer, something that a consumer would find very easy to use across all platforms, whether it be a Mac or a Windows or iOS or Android. It should have the same flowing experience. And one of the first things we do whenever we even add a new feature in Dialpad is look at how this is going to affect our user experience. And if it's not going to be a good flow or good user experience, we're not going to add it to our product.
Love it. Designed for the user. Love it. So the goal of these is to help our partners understand where everybody fits, right? You're in a crowded UCaaS space. So why and what are the real differentiators if partners are thinking, geez, I have 4 or 5 options. Why do I need to distinguish, or how do I distinguish Dialpad in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it is a very crowded space, and you look at dial tone and soft phones, and even from all the cloud providers and even the legacy premise providers, it's basically like a God-given right. You should have good dial tone. You should be able to do the basic functionality, the basic features, whether that be transfer a call, put a call on hold, send your voicemail to email type of thing. That's table stakes, right? I think really where Dialpad differentiates in the space is artificial intelligence. So 2 years ago, Dialpad acquired a company called TalkIQ, was in the same space as Chorus and Gong. But the difference from that is we were already in the talk path. So it wasn't those experiences where you needed to bring them into a Zoom conference or bring them into conference them in to listen to the call. This was TalkIQ was already in the Dialpad talk path. So when we acquired, and even when we announced the platform, it was something that we were able to launch right away the day we announced the product. So that's important. That's important to know. Now, where we differentiate is our artificial intelligence we call voice intelligence. It natively brings all those features. So it's no longer the world of I want to look at it post call, see everything that happened, see how things are going. It is more of I can look in real time as well as I can look post call and look at kind of game tape. So real time versus game tape. And that's inherent across our entire platform, whether it's our PBX replacement SKU, which is Dialpad Talk, whether it's our Uber conference platform, whether it's our contact center platform, or whether it's our Dialpad Sell or Sales Dialer platform. We encompass it across the whole platform.
Cool. So, talk to me about, UCaaS versus CCaaS. How does intelligence like this, how does that really enhance a contact center experience?
Oh man, yeah, it's a game changer. You sit here and one of the things we've done from a Dialpad's perspective is really incorporate into our platform and into just the user experience, the user interface that they're using. It's the exact same whether you're a business user or you're a contact center user. It's just by adding people to queues, you just start getting queues to join that are part of the platform. So that makes it very easy. They don't have to learn a whole other thing to be able to do contact center calls. But really, from an artificial intelligence perspective, the real benefit is, first of all, the calls are live transcribed. So you can be recording it and they're transcribed, and you don't need to be doing both. So if you don't want to record the calls, but you want to transcribe for note-taking purposes, you can do that. Managers and supervisors can set up on keywords that they want to pop. So if somebody calls in and maybe it's a help desk and somebody needs to reset their password, if they say password, we can pop up on the screen how to reset the password so that the agent can now tell them how to do it and teach them how to do it. So it really enables the workflow to quicker onboard sales agents and support agents and things of that nature, and really let them use it. On the flip side of that, you've got all these functionalities that are now available to the call center supervisor. So they're no longer just randomly listening to calls and figuring out what's going on. They can look at sentiment of the call. They can see this call's gone negative. I probably want to listen to that call versus these 8 calls are positive. So you can really see that type of information. The same goes for if somebody were to say, I want to talk to a manager, or let me speak with your supervisor. That supervisor will get a pop-up on their screen that says, attention, John's has a customer that's asking to speak with the manager. They can go in, they can look at the transcript before they listen into the call and ultimately barge into the call to help out. So it's a game changer. And then on the back end, even further back, you've got all the analytics that bring all that data together and allow you to look at the calls, look at the keywords that are being said, maybe just understanding what kind of words, what questions are primarily being asked on the call, so you can build cards around that.
It almost feels like that it's like a QA, QM tool built in. I mean, we're so used to UC goes here, CC goes here, analytics go here, and QM and monitoring and all these things. It feels like there's a lot of these things coming together. What do you see? How is that in the conversation? What is that, I guess, when the customer's envisioning, how is this rollout going to go? How many pieces am I going to have to really bring together? What do you see that conversation like in helping them understand this isn't going to be as incredibly difficult as you might have thought it would be?
Yeah, it's changed in the last couple of years, really that. And I think from Dialpad's perspective, there's no bolt-ons. I don't need to go add this other functionality and tie it into Dialpad, or go add like a third-party contact center to bring it into Dialpad, and then go add an analytics engine and bring that into Dialpad, and they end up being kind of disparate and not in the same solution. So really, those conversations are a lot easier because they start looking at things that, hey, well, I don't need this anymore, and I don't need that anymore, and it's all in one place, and it's going to bring all my calls together. And whether, we can even talk about the sales side of this, but even for outbound dialers, them having the ability to coach and add things to playlists and things of that nature, it's a total game changer, and implementation is crazy easy.
I like it. Good stuff. So as we kind of wrap this up, we like to look ahead a little bit, and I know you guys have some interesting, very recent news. So maybe talk to me about, as partners are looking out for things that are coming 3 months, 6 months, deals that they're working on, maybe 9 months out. Talk maybe about your recent announcement, and then anything else that you want to cover that's coming in the future for deals that they're just getting put in the funnel now.
Fantastic. Thanks, Josh. So, we had some really exciting news. This week, we actually announced the acquisition of Highfive. Highfive is a video player in the space. So we looked to Highfive, and we brought all their employees into Dialpad. We brought all their engineers, their software engineers, their technology. So you're really going to see a blending of their video solution into Uber Conference, making that so much better, just really enhancing that. So I think over the next 6 months to a year, for sure, we're going to be heavily integrating Highfive into the platform and just making it a better unified collaboration platform. So that's really exciting stuff. We also, we've heard the partner community. We know we need to have a rock solid Microsoft Teams integration. So all our engineers in the integrations team are actively working with Microsoft Teams to enable users to be able to use the functionality of Dialpad, our carrier connections, our quality voice, but use that from within a Microsoft Teams interface. We've already done it from an Uber Conference perspective, where we built integrations where you can join an Uber Conference from Microsoft Teams natively, but we really want to get that click functionality where you click the phone icon, it goes out, it's going to launch it through Dialpad. So you're going to know that you're going to have a good connection. You're going to have a solid quality call, as well as you're going to get all the features and functionalities of unified communications and the transcripts and the recordings and all those type of things that you would expect from Dialpad. So I think those are probably the key ones. Obviously, voice intelligence, we're always adding voice intelligence features. We're always upping our game in the contact center space, where we play today and where we want to play are two different spots. So I think you'll see more and more contact center addition features to the mix, as well as analytics and things of that give kind of that full picture for the contact center, for the agent, for the manager, for the supervisor.
Great stuff. Yeah, excited to see those. Love to always see those evolutions come out. Always love to see another full-featured collaboration suite. Maybe now that we're in the situation that we're in the COVID world, it's incredible how apparent those things are. So it's good to have another solid solution, especially from somebody like yourselves in this mix. So awesome. Well, I think we've covered everything. I think that brings us to the end. So. All right, Geoff, appreciate you coming on today. Geoff Reimer, Director of Sales Engineering for Dialpad. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks, Josh. Really appreciate the time.
All right, everybody. Wrapping up another engineering deep dive here today with Dialpad, part of Season 2 Race to the Summit. And until next time, thanks, everybody.